It is Thursday, September 28th, and today I am going to edit a Let's Play video. I edit Let's Play videos every single day, but Zachary specifically requested for me to show it on the vlog, specifically like how I do it. And, well, I had nothing else going on today, so here we go. And since it is all going to be on screen, I can actually just record like this. Hello! Normally this is like facing at me because I'm streaming, but for the purposes of this, I'm going to be over here on the monitor. So when we start out, I have everything already built out. You'll see here that there are already tons of Tears of the Kingdom episodes, Super Paper Mario episodes, and even a whole thing for shorts and audio only and various other projects. So the bulk of the work is already done. I should preface that because you're going to see that this is maybe quicker than you think, which is why I can cover it in a vlog. So we're going to edit Tears of the Kingdom episode 145. We take the episode 144 and we copy it. We duplicate that project, meaning that everything that made that project up continues to exist in the next one. And that's important for a couple of reasons, primarily from a time-saving perspective, because what this means is that everything that the project was originally set up with continues to exist. And I'll show you what that means because I understand that's kind of vague. So things like the intro, for example. Hello and welcome back to LP's L. That's already been created. I created that at the beginning of the series, and I don't need to recreate that for every single project. So by copying the project, that stays in there. All that I then must do is, well, you'll see. So when we start another episode, next episode, the first thing I do is I come into the media pool and I get rid of the preceding episode, not the one immediately preceding this episode. You'll see that Tears of the Kingdom 144 is still there. We are in the copy of it, but 143, and I'll show you why in a minute, but we'll import the new footage for episode 145. You'll notice here that there's 3 audio tracks. This top one is the combination of game and commentary audio. It's what you would hear on stream, just that one track. However, since I like the ability to discern between the two, I also have OBS record 2 separate tracks. This top one here being for the game audio and the second one for the commentary. And we'll come in here and you can already tell where the intro starts because this being my commentary track is completely silent up until this point. So I cut right there, eliminate that. Now, from knowing how my intros start, that whole little screen, I don't need the game video for the first few seconds, nor do I need the game audio for the first few seconds. And there we have the beginnings of what we're going to work with. Now, the beginning of every episode includes some sort of callback to the prior episode. So I need to go back into the prior episode and find a clip that sort of ties in with that. I think something right here is fine. It doesn't have to be a laborious process. It usually isn't. Sometimes I have something specific in mind. Other times I do exactly this and I just, that sums it up pretty well. And I pull it back. You'll see here the red. That's the spot we're going to occupy. So we don't have to cut it too specifically like that. We can actually just pull it like this, bring the commentaries down, commentary and the game audio. And I'll zoom in a little bit here, expanding this. And we'll cover up that red. We want it to all end at the same time. So we'll bring the marker here, cut, get rid of those. Now, you'll notice that it doesn't flow quite properly. What's going on there? That's not the intro. So some work still does have to be done. First off, I crop it with some softness just to give it a soft border. You'll see there, it's not just a hard cut. After that, I pull it down to the right size and right location. And if I were a little bit more efficient, I would probably do the exact same every single time. I don't. Oh, and that's fine. And then I'll also want to give it a fade out and a fade in so that it plays as so. That being said, it's still not done. I need to take the audio here and lower that because that is booming. And I'm going to be commentating over it. And I also want it to slope down. You'll notice my commentary track here is blank. It's because this was during a cutscene. And while I do speak during some cutscenes, not all of them, not this one. After that, you'll see this mess of stuff down here at what was the end of the episode. This is all the outro stuff. So I am going to Control X. I'm going to actually cut that so that I can later paste it. And then we'll drag the new episode up to this point. And then somewhere behind it, I'll drop off the outro stuff and I'll sync that up here when I need to. But for now, we'll work at the front of the episode. And we want my commentary. Hello, welcome back to LP's LP of Legend of Zelda. We want that to be somewhere near the beginning of the intro, but not completely. We'll listen. Hello and welcome back to LP's LP of The Legend of Zelda. Maybe a little sooner. Let's see what that, how is that? Hello and welcome. Where's Mineru? Hello and welcome back to LP's LP. Yeah, I like that. So now that that is synced up, we can turn the magnet back on. And what the magnet does is it just attaches to anything, whether that's like the bar here, you bring it, it stops it there. If you shut that off, you can kind of more easily just go through it in a more precise manner. But since I don't really need precision, I just need it to be exactly here. That works. Give it a little fade in for the video as well as the game audio. And that's the intro. We can watch it now and make sure it's fine. LP's LP of The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. Last episode, we defeated the seized construct thanks in large part, if not really like 99% part, to Mineru, our own construct friend who's... I think that looks just fine. I think that looks just fine. Now, I may have considered using a different clip. Again, this is just for practice. This is not actually what I edited this specific episode like, but this is how I would edit it, you know, just for like spoiler purposes, because you're probably going to watch this episode and it's not going to look exactly like this. There is a different clip used for the intro, but I digress. Anyways, what I then do after that is I scan my audio track here for any significant gaps. What I do as a Let's Player is pseudo live, if that makes sense. It is all improvised. I take pride in that, in my commentary ability to just keep talking, to just keep talking. I don't need to cut out any dead air. I don't need to make any edits to get like the funniest moments or whatever. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that style of content. No, but that's just not what I enjoy. That's not what I want to put out there. So if I do have a gap in my commentary, it is intentional. And it's a signal to me to then come in here in DaVinci and post and cut it out and cinch it up. It looked like for this episode, no such necessity. However, you can see at the very end, it might look like that's the case. I have to double check. What is that? That's my cat knocking some books over. Okay, not necessary. So we can come here to the end and listen to how that sounds. Seeing you tomorrow. And what I do there is I listen to when if I were a viewer, would expect the scene to change. So definitely not a scientific process by any means. Definitely not an expert here, but I just go by what feels right for that particular moment. Give it a little outro for the sound and the outro for the video. And then I'll grab all this outro stuff. If you remember, this is actually a relic from the prior episode, so that does not need to come. But all this stuff does need to come. I'll bring it up. We'll zoom in here. This specific clip. During my outro, I play a fuzzy clip from the prior episode in the background of the whole end screen thing. So we'll get rid of that because that's from 144. And then, again, not a super scientific grabbing of a picture or an image here, but I'll kind of scan through the episode, see what was, I don't know, what was kind of neat, but kind of static. Like, I don't want to be in complete darkness. I don't want to be working through a menu. Right around here is probably good. So we'll grab a little chunk, copy it, Control Z so those cuts go away, and then we can Control V it, drop it here, and then sort of trim it up to the proper size to fit into this slot. Of course, it doesn't need to be exact because you'll see once I put it over here, I can zoom back in with the plus here and stretch it back out. Very much like my waistband. Isn't it excellent? Anyways, similar concept applies. A little fade in, a little fade out. You'll notice it's still not yet ready. Still not yet ready. So we need to go up in here to Effects, grab what's called Gaussian Blur, and apply that to the video. And if I wanted to, I could go into Effects and mess with the strength of that. You'll see it there on the screen like it's getting fuzzy, 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 or completely clear. I just stick with the default, which is 0.4. It's good enough, at least for that instance. For other instances, I do mess with it, but for the purposes of the outro here, it stays the same. Now, episode's almost done. Episode is almost done. What does need to happen still is the very intro. If you notice, if you watch the channel with any length of time, I didn't always do when it's on guard. Okay, well, where's my friend? I think it's called like a wet intro. I don't really love how that sounds. It's like a teaser intro, and it plays just a slight moment from earlier on in the episode prior to the actual intro. I've seen some good data on it. Apparently people like it. Apparently it's good for being introduced to new audiences because it gives people who would be checking out the channel for the first time like a quick sort of this is what's happening. This is what's happening. And then you decide whether or not you want to watch the rest of the episode. For people that continue to watch the episode, well, they probably already like the channel, so they probably don't mind that. Either which way, it's gotten good feedback, and I think it's doing well for the channel. That being said, we must pick out a clip for this episode. And how I normally do that is I will scan my audio track down here, my commentary track, for anything that stands out, anything that's bigger or otherwise louder. And there honestly isn't anything in this one that stands out to me. So what that means I have to do is I have to hop around. And I usually try and stick in the second half of the episode so that someone comes in, they watch, this is what's happening today. And then it happens like 3 minutes later. That doesn't make any sense. If we put it later on in the episode, someone who does stick around a few minutes in the episode might still be thinking of that initial clip, like, I wonder when we're going to see that. So I try to pick it later in the episode. And once we do have a clip, we'll make 2 cuts there, 2 breaks specifically. It's Command B, and then we will copy it, get rid of the breaks, go all the way back, deposit it there, and then we will line everything up. All that is synced together, and it's pretty much done. Now that everything's been cut, everything's been put in its spot, the only thing left, and I say that as I still have to actually move the outro. Oh, goodness gracious, it's good to be thorough. Everything else that would have to be done would be around audio, and audio is something that's already been done. Through any of our listenings, we are always looking over here at the mixer, and I'll let it play real quick just to show you what I'm talking about. Our battery a little bit more. I mean, I don't want to do it until we hit 300 again. We got 195. And you get to check out the audio levels and make sure that they're right. They should be right just coming over from OBS since the filters are there. Any post-processing that needs to be done happens in here. I've got an equalizer, a compressor, and a limiter. Specifically for the commentary, the game audio doesn't necessarily need to be messed with. That's largely all taken care of in OBS. But I think I say this, get rid of the equalizer. I made some equalizer changes in OBS. So if we got rid of that equalizer, since we just did that for this episode, I think it would be good to listen to a portion of it with and without. We got 195 zonite. I might save the zonite. Gosh. So it's a fine line. We're talking about bass levels and what would be good for it, and it's really hard to say, but that's what I'd do if I needed to change into the audio or remaster into the audio. I'd largely just go in here because I am no audio engineer, and I don't need to mess with it any more than it's already been messed with, usually. But always good to check. And then after that, go to deliver, where again, it carries over all the settings in the MP4 format, H.265 codec, 4K, 60 frames per second. And I do restrict the rate a little bit. I only do that because my PC is not the most high-powered machine in the world. And if I don't do that, it can crash. Similarly, I also restrict the render speed to 25 frames per second. So it takes a little while to render. It takes about twice the length of the video to render this. So then I will come in here, I will title it what it is, which is Tears of the Kingdom episode 145. I will add it to the render queue, and I will hit render. And then I will just let it sit, and then I'll go work on the computer, do something else. Maybe I'll go cook dinner. Either which way, that's the process. And it's not necessarily the craziest process in the world, but I do appreciate you asking. If there's ever anything else that you'd want to, I guess, see me talk about or explain more or whatever, and this is not one that I've ever done before, please let me know, because this was fun and it's cool. And if it's valuable to you, it's valuable to me. Either which way, thanks so much for watching. I do appreciate it and hope that you enjoyed yourself. And with that said, I'll see you tomorrow.